Hey guys, Luke from A Taste of AZ. On today's podcast, we've got the dudes from Mezcal Carreño making some of the best mezcal you can get your hands on here in Arizona. It won a bunch of awards, so make sure to follow them on social media as well as A Taste of AZ. Also, subscribe to the channel below and like the video. Let's jump into the podcast.
My dudes, Abel and Ivan from Mezcal Carreño, joining us. You guys are not here. The four of us are not together, but I feel like we are. We just, Abel and I are both standing. Luke and Ivan are sitting. So it's that symmetry, right?
There we go. Perfect.
Dudes, I remember like it was yesterday where I was telling my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go down in some dude's backyard in Phoenix, and she's like, what? Like, yeah, no, it's cool. They're like bringing tequila from Mexico or something. She's like, oh, cool. All right, go ahead. But dude, that was one of my best experiences I've ever had, man. Like the deliberateness of you guys encapsulating not just what's in that bottle, but everything that makes what is in that bottle special. So it's so awesome to now see you guys where you are. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tell the story of Mezcal Carreño. So
it's exciting.
Where does it begin? Like very, very beginning of this thing that's been in your family for a long time, Ivan, right?
Yeah. So 1844 is when it begins for us as far as a family. And then in 1904 is when my great grandfather started producing mezcal.
Okay. Gotcha. And where at specifically?
And it was in Oaxaca, Mexico. Sorry. So
okay.
It was in Oaxaca, Mexico. We started. Then after that, I moved here. Abel is my best friend. I introduced him to mezcal a couple times. And then from there, he had this great idea of sharing, the family spirit here in Arizona. And, he pulled me to do this business, and that's where we're at now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you said a couple times you've introduced him a couple times. Did it take a couple times, Abel, for you to acquire because it's polarizing, right? It's that smokiness. It's like people that, you got a little bit of smoke to it, which I love, but that's not everybody's favorite always, right?
Yeah, correct. And it's they say mezcal is an acquired taste, but a taste worth acquiring. And for like mine and Ivan's relationship, we've known each other since, high school, worked together at Circuit City and all these different things. So for us, it was always around, but we never looked at it as like a business type of thing. And being younger, us in our younger days, how he said it took a couple times. Well, if you talk about someone who doesn't want to give a spirit a second chance or a bad experience, like my first time was, we were young. My mom knew we were going to have a house party. She was like, you guys are all responsible. And, Ivan showed up at Oaxaca meal time, and he had a bottle of mezcal, and I was already too deep into my cup, and I was like, I ain't drinking this, and no one was really drinking it, and I put myself to bed after I had thrown up. I was like, you guys can keep it. I'm going to bed. He's like, Ivan took it under his responsibilities. I must kick everybody out, otherwise his mom's going to kick my ass. Was pretty much what. And I was like, I don't care. I'm going to bed. So he goes to kick everybody out, but he being responsible, he doesn't want to lose his bottle because somehow that bottle could have jumped out of his pocket.
Yeah.
So he put that bottle in my room, whoop, jumps out to kick everybody out. I'm in the bed, world spinning, and then I look up on my TV and I'm like, oh my God, someone left me a bottle of Dasani water. So
okay, let's pause that story for just a second, because nowadays the bottle looks really, really cool, right? So it looks this glass, really cool bottle. Yep. But before, you used to have to smuggle it in plastic, like Coca-Cola 2 liters. So I had dumped it in Dasani. So there you go for a little bit more.
Oh no.
Yeah. I was going to say, when he brought a bottle over, like, because you guys have told me that story before, I'm like, let's specify what that bottle was, right?
Yep.
And you pounded it.
So it's funny, that's traditionally how, when you're down in Oaxaca, like, you'll get stuff at small palenques, and they just repurpose whatever they had, whether it's a 2 liter or little bottles, like, that's how you do it. But people know, like, that's what it is. For me, the wrapper, everything was on there, still crystal clear, and I chugged away thinking it was going to quench my thirst. It did the exact opposite. He came in 5 minutes later. Now I'm shirtless in the corner, dripping wet, and he's like, "What the hell?" And I just go, "That's not water." And he goes, what do you mean that's not water? And I pointed at the bottle, and then he realized, and he saw it was now half gone. I was like, oh. So, yeah. For me, I went to the sink and just splashed water everywhere. So, because I took gulp, and then finally on the third one, it was like, whoa. And then just spit it out, that last batch, and splashed everywhere. So naturally, I was like, we should make a mezcal empire. No,
right.
I was like,
exactly.
never touching this again.
Dude,
I can't believe this happened. I'm pretty sure I had alcohol poisoning because I was already drunk.
Yeah.
And then we had to go to work that next morning at Circuit City. So it was obviously a rough day.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's the great thing. It's we told someone the story and they said it's the what they say, compa, in San Diego, the hero's journey, because it took that moment of me, being broken down and then going back to Oaxaca for one of our cousins' weddings out there. And his dad, who I hadn't met because his mom was the one that raised him up here after his dad left. And so I had a great relationship with his mom, and, first time meeting my best friend's dad, and he's like, oh, and I had said, no, I'm never, ever drinking mezcal again.
Yeah.
And I drank it there it was right after the wedding too. So you're in Oaxaca, and they got pictures of me with like a piece of wood that's stretched out with the cow, and I got that cool hat on, and I'm like, our guayaberas. And so that romancing of the, that's what we try to do. And like our vision is to inspire people to want to visit Mexico through our mezcal, so they fall in love with the culture, the people. And it's because that was me. Ivan blessed me with the best gift, which is that to fall in love with something. And so for us, that's what we're trying to do with everything we do. But I didn't have a good experience at first, but it took me going down there and being surrounded by family and friends in a moment.
Yeah.
And everything we have done, like with you, like that's what's been so amazing, because we try to share that moment again and again and again in different iterations of it. And that's what makes people fall in love with mezcal, because it is a spirit, it's smoking, all these things, but there's a story there. And then there's stories that come from it. Mezcal moments.
Mezcal moments. That's right, man. That's and that was kind of what you were creating in the backyard when you guys first launched, right? Was that experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we were smuggling over bottles. I don't know. Like our old bottle was designed like this, and we were waiting for the new guy right here, this beautiful bottle.
Oh, is that
just got a
metal?
Yeah, we just got these in. This is from the San Francisco World Spirits competition.
No shit. What is that, gold?
Double gold. We crushed this top 5.
Dude, no way.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, it's
right
gold.
Here.
Twice.
this one, double gold. This is our Ensemble Siete.
Yeah.
This literally won best mezcal overall. So you're talking about the World Grammys of alcohol competition.
Hell yeah.
We were number 1. We had 2 of the top 5, 3 of the top 10. And this is over 70 plus brands. And so these bottles took a long time to get up here. And we knew we had to start telling people about mezcal and learning the industry. And so we just smuggled bottles over different ways. And we didn't have a bar. We didn't need no bartenders or people yet. But we had a backyard. I just moved in this spot we had renting. And I was like, well, let's put up some lights and have people come back here. And Mezcal Mondays were born. And that was our way of teaching ourselves along with people like how to actually talk about it, because before it was so different with us enjoying it to now having to like inspire and educate and potentially make people be clients. Yeah.
And dude, just like that network that you guys created. And now I see, I mean, that's I would say one of your guys' biggest assets is just that network you've created of people that just not only love your product, but love you guys, love how you represent it. It's awesome. So, Ivan, for you was it, I mean, obviously it's always been part of what as far as your family, right? Was it a cool thing, right? Like, dude, we make mezcal, right? It was, because up here, if you make whiskey or whatever, like, dude, you're the shit, right? You're the cool guy, right? and rightfully so, man. I love that shit. So,
well, no, dude. Like for me, I didn't think it was anything like out of the ordinary. I thought it was like somebody making sake in Japan, or somebody making whiskey in Scotland or Ireland. Everybody in Oaxaca makes mezcal. So for us, it's just a way of life. It's just their culture. It's just the heritage that you've grown up with, sharing it. It's there at your birth, it's there at your death, and everywhere in between. Because mezcal is traditionally a celebratory drink. So when you're born, boom, it's a celebration. When you die, it's a celebration. Anything that happens in between, it's always a celebration with your friends and breaking bread with friends, family, and everything. So you're always drinking it. So I didn't think I was anything different. Like I I still don't think anything. I'm just kind of like, I'm like, hey guys. So people are always like, oh, you guys are the mezcal guys. Like, where's the pocket mezcal, you know? Yeah. So like, we always have pocket mezcal that we're always bringing out. So I guess you could say we're kind of the cool mezcal kids. But no, it wasn't anything. So, I mean, like now I'm starting to see it a lot more. I mean, it's like going places and they're like, oh, I saw you at this event. I remember you like explained all this stuff. And I was like, I'm glad you picked up some knowledge that I was able to share, or I was able to, you know, get you, or people like message and they're like, hey, have you tried this yet? And so it's like, it is inspiring people to try different mezcals or different ways of sipping it. Or friends will be like, hey, go check out this bar, because they're like, they don't have any mezcal cocktails, you know? So it's people that are starting to identify that and things of that nature.
Yeah. Well, and you said in Oaxaca, you said everybody makes mezcal. Is that what makes it unique to mezcal, or like what makes Oaxaca unique?
So Oaxaca has 7 distinct different geographical regions, and
how big is it? How big is
it's one of the states? So it's a state of think of it like the size of Arizona.
Okay, all right.
For Mexico, yes, so it's the size of Arizona, but it's got valleys, basins, highlands, it's got forests, it's got coastlines, it's got deserts. And so you can have the same plant, and the same plant in different areas will grow at different altitudes, elevations, humidity, and all of that will impart different things. Now, in the world of mezcal comes from the agave plant, right? And in the agave family, there's over 300 different species of agave. Over 200 of them, so over 66% of them, are actually endemic to Oaxaca. So Oaxaca is very important because Oaxaca produces 85-90% of the world's mezcal, because the plants are only in Oaxaca. You can only get it there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. So it's like what you know, Gruyere cheese is, or what Champagne is, you know, just that northern part of France. So gotcha. It has a denomination of origin. So that's why Oaxaca is special.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's awesome, man. That's cool. When it's when, I don't know, a whole industry, a place is like just the central piece of a whole industry. You know what I mean? And when it has that history, and, you know, especially with you, with the family history, it's cool to know the history, but when you're connected to the history, I mean, that's this brand now that you guys have, it's an extension of that, right? I mean, it's carrying on that legacy.
It is. My grandma has a really cool saying where it's like, you know, I didn't do anything special or anything. It was just kind of like, you know, I was just blessed. I was just blessed to have been born in this family, and, you know, leaving this legacy for like my grandfather, because originally we were never mezcal farmers. We were producers of sugarcane. And the sugarcane we would produce into molasses and then sell that to the Bacardi family. So that's kind of how we were in this whole industry. So he had this whole empire where he had like, you know, 1,500 acres that he had. And so it's like, it's trying to go back to that, trying to go back to kind of what he was, and not letting the family name die down. Because that's, for Hispanics, that's super, super important.
Yeah. Well, and there's pieces of what you guys bring to it, at least with the experience and Abel. I'll always remember our first and last Arizona Beer Book event at Sunup. We were ready to rock, man. Like we've had things lined up, and then it was like, nope, shut it down. Everybody got that pause button, right? But I remember turning around, we're wrapping things up, and Abel has 2 cups of mezcal just waiting there to celebrate. but the cups that you guys use too, and I know, you know, it's not possible to have those everywhere your mezcal is, but those cups are a really important part of that as well, right?
Abel?
Yeah, I mean, we've drank out of mini vessels. In Oaxaca, we've drank out of beakers with the maestros. But we do want that sense of place. And obviously, so for those of you who don't know, mezcal comes from much older plants. We are in the process of cultivating. Ivan's been working on that down in Oaxaca while he was down there during the pandemic planting, so we can try to control the growth of the company and make sure we have more plants under our control. But in the end, we can't change how fast the plants grow, and they take anywhere from some 5 to 8, and different species are 10 to 25 years. And so when you get a bottle, it is more expensive, and it should be enjoyed. And we prefer it neat, but it also makes great cocktails. But in that sense, our vessels are usually tiny. They're these beautiful, tiny copitas, and it makes you appreciate sipping. Think about an espresso or a nice glass of wine. I don't know anybody that goes, yeah, give me that, 2000 or 1994 Bordeaux and just slams it. Like they sip
in a pint glass.
Each little bit. Yeah, exactly. They sip it and they enjoy it. And that's really how mezcal is, high proof. And as you get through it, you just really enjoy each sip. There's a saying, kiss it, don't chug it. In essence, it's what people are doing. And that's why we love these little vessels, because when you're a big guy, Eric, so you got your big hands on it, it makes you be like, okay, I really gotta take care of this little guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys started the thing, kind of started getting things rolling in Arizona, right? Doing the backyard, the Mezcal Mondays, and where did it, because it went quick, right? I think we started this before we talked about this before we started recording, but you guys you're hanging on, man. It's a journey, right?
Yeah. I mean, when we started, Ivan would just moved in with us. So he was living here. We're pretty much the U.S. operation. So Compa Spirits is our company up here. We've called each other Compa forever. And now I get Compas from so many people that it's kind of like, it still throws me off, because it was a thing that we just grew up with each other. But Compa is, that family friend. And we'll walk into spots and they're like, hey Compa. And it's cool because we've created this tribe. And I talked about it before. We are in the relationship business. Well, up here in the U.S. operation, there's lots of great spirits. We don't have money to buy it, pay for all the placements and marketing thing that a lot of these big companies do. We just have us, and us really shines through our hustle. Ivan was still working for Cox Communications. He put in his 2 weeks. 2 weeks before the pandemic, was literally on that first week of, all right, he's full time. And then COVID hit in that March. And we just have each other to hustle. But thankfully that's what people see. And people appreciate that more than ever. Like, we could pay for a billboard and have this really beautiful girl on it drinking mezcal, but it's us two dudes just hustling, coming in sweaty, like, hey guys, like I have this, can we share it with you? And it's real. And we're blessed that people, this community likes real, and they can resonate with it. And just like yourself, people have seen that journey of, I remember when we drank in your backyard, or I remember that first time you guys had it at Centrico, and now we'll get messages like, hey, I'm at the Phoenician, your bottles are here. Or, hey, I'm down in Tucson, the JW, and did you know your bottles are there? I'm like, yeah, man, like how, that's only us. Like we self-distribute. But I think when we met with you, that was still 2018. I think it was December or October of 2018.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And we officially launched in, like, our first, sale was February 21st of 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
Fast forward a year, Ivan's finally at that point where he can leave Cox Communications. We set a goal for 200 accounts from that end of February to the end of the year. I can't remember the calculation, but I know I did a calculation. I was like, if we do this, this is what we get. I did math that I didn't know shouldn't exist. And when we talk to people now, there's a good friend of ours, Jason Morris, who owns Crujente, which is a fantastic restaurant, but he used to own Quinch, and he sold that as a big distributor of spirits and wine to the Hensley. And if he told me this, he goes, if you'd have told me that the two of you would have been in this many accounts, he's like, and not just accounts, but like the places, you guys are in all the top spots, I would have laughed at you, especially because you didn't even know. Like, maybe you were coming from the industry. Ivan worked for Cox. I had a ticket business. I used to work for the Coyotes. We didn't come at this from like, oh, we know all the bartenders. We knew no one, and we did it. But because we didn't limit ourselves, Ivan's reading a book right now called Limitless, and I think that's how we really, we think about our world is you can't limit yourself based upon what other people have done. And if you don't look at what other people do and you just believe in yourself, it becomes real easy. It's still hard, but it becomes so much easier.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy because a lot of people are like, that are in the industry, they're like, a year, I would say maybe 50 accounts. And I think we closed out the year with like 195 compa. I think it was like, we were off by 5. And I was so sad. I was like, man, we didn't get to 200. And then when Jason was telling us this, he goes, you guys were like, I can't believe it. And this is like me working 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then after that, hustling, and Abel doing the same thing with his ticket business in between, late nights, early mornings. So it was just, but we didn't know any better. So we didn't know that it wasn't possible. So we did it.
Yeah. But you found something too, right? Was there a moment where you guys were like, oh shit, right? They're, you know, with what I do, my life been just trying to figure out for 38 years what I wanted to do. At 38, I'm like, oh shit, all right, this is it, right? So it's like, yeah, there were times where I'm, you know, waking up at 3 a.m. to teach English to kids in China, as crazy as that sounds, right? You know, but I loved it, man. You know, and there would be a Friday comes around where I'm just like, oh, I'm beat, man. I'm, you know, but you're fueled by that vision that you see, right?
Do you have a moment like that you remember, compa, when you were like, this is it?
Let me, I'm gonna tell you that it is. Oh, I know specifically like one of the moments. It was one of the first chef dinners that we did. It was Cinco de Mayo. It was with Samantha Sanz, and it was the Four Seasons. And the day before, I left work. I met with Aaron and Justin Vargo downtown, drove all the way to Prescott, hit up Prescott, stayed the night with my sister, got incredibly sick. I remember I was just sick, woke up the next day, delivered in Prescott, drove all the way to Sedona to meet Chef Meats and then drove all the way back to the Four Seasons to do the dinner, and then drove home. So it was nuts for me that day. And I was just like, this is it. Like, I think this is what our life's going to be. Like, just driving around, no matter what's going on. Like, it doesn't matter that I'm sick. I've met with these amazing chefs, and we're doing this amazing dinner where they're going to feature the mezcal with all these crazy dishes that Samantha paired with us. Like, that was, I think, the moment for me.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Did you ever have a moment like that at Cox? Right?
No.
Yeah, dude. I had many moments at others' jobs that were the exact opposite. I'm like, this is kind of a jerk move. I don't know if Luke's ever heard this story, but I worked at Chili's for like 6 months after I dropped out of college, and I was a cook. And it was Black Friday, and there were tickets almost like just piled on the floor. And I'm like, I had a breakdown. I'm like, I'm going to take out the garbage. And I just left, and I never went back. Yeah, I know it was a jerk move, but that's one of those trigger points though, right? When I, you know, it's 9 p.m. and I'm just ready to go to bed. I go to bed really early if you didn't just get that, but there's some shit I need to get done. I think of that moment, like, dude, this is 1,000 times better than that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You got the ability to connect those things, positive or negative, you know? Mm-hmm. So what about you, Abel? Was that the moment that you thought he was going to talk about?
No, I didn't know, because we've been on different wavelengths until now with him being full-time. Yeah. Because he was, you know, I was peeking in his room all the time on Cox. He'd be like, hold on, I'm on a call, and doing all this stuff. Where for me, my ticket business was just kind of on autopilot. I put it back. So I was just every day, every moment into it. But it does go back to Sammy Sands, because that's when we started like hustling. Because, you know, 2018 was a lot of planning, getting things, you know, we had a warehouse that we paid for like 10 months that we had nothing in it, because we had to have that warehouse before we could get our permit. Like, and so we were losing money. You know, we had to spend money to do nothing. Yeah. And for me, it was the same thing. I was out to Four Seasons. I was hitting all these spots, and Chef Sammy and Brian, her boyfriend Renee, had been to our backyard before, but I was going there to taste, to set this dinner up. So this would have probably been maybe April sometime. And you know, they said get there like at 4 o'clock or something. So I showed up and do the full tasting with the pastry chef, Sammy, Brian, who's the GM of Talavera out there in the Four Seasons. And they're, you know, we go through it all, and they're just like, wow. He's like, it tastes even better than the first time I had it. And I go, it's, you know, mezcal really grows on it. It goes back to that acquired taste thing. Yeah. And it's now getting ready to be like 5:30. Like, where are you going to go now? I was like, well, I'm way out here, but I don't know if I want to hit traffic. I'll probably just see if I can find places, you know, along because, you know, Four Seasons is way out there in North Scottsdale. So I'm like, I'm just going to find places along here. And Sam's like, are you hungry? I was like, well, yeah. She goes, you should just eat. And Brian's like, yeah, just stay here and eat. And we're in this room where we were doing the tasting, was their like private wine room. So the ceiling was this beautiful, like painted, hand painted decor. And then it was just one wooden table and then all this wine. I was like, sure, like just stay here. And so they leave, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing my notes, and I'm like, wow, okay, cool. And she's like, she goes, what do you want? I go, well, your paella looks like amazing. I've seen that. Like, I've wanted to come out here and try that. She's like, okay. So I'm thinking they're just going to send, server out there. No, here comes Chef Sammy. He goes, here's the paella, and brings me this. And she brings me a charcuterie board. And then Brian's like, do you want any wine or anything? I was like, no, I'm good. He goes, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, no, do you want any wine? I was like, well, I just got back from Spain. I was like, do you have any Rubio del Duero? He goes, I got you. He comes in bringing this glass. And so now I'm like, I've just hustled so hard. I'm thinking I'm still going to have to work. And here comes the chef. And she's an amazing, James Beard nominated chef. She brings me the paella. I'm eating this paella and I'm drinking, and even though I'm by myself, I kind of like laughed hysterically because was in just this hustle mode.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can't buy, like, that's a moment you can't buy. You can't buy someone who wanted to be a friend to share something with you like that. You can't buy, like, to be in that little room and, to me not to even think that was a possibility, and just sitting there and that's, people go, oh, do you guys want to sell and do all this? I go, no, I want to have like, that is what I want over and over again, is making friends, trying amazing food, and connecting with people through stories. And that was like that moment. And I guess, we're kind of, that's our hustle point, is where we had hustled so much from all 2018 when it just kind of came together. And for me, it was just this magical thing going, I want to do this across the country someday, where I'm talking to the chef and they're telling me their experience. And then everything we've done has always been over food. And that was it. That was like wow, this is worth it. We're still not making money yet because we're investing everything back in. But that's when I definitely knew it's worth it, because that little moment, they're all like, we're driving around 150 degree right now, loading up boxes. Our 2 shipments have came on like record-breaking temperature days.
Yeah,
that moment makes it worth it. And people see those moments and they go, oh, you guys got it so good, but they don't see the other ones. And that's fine. That's part of being an owner.
Yeah.
You suck up all that other stuff. But when that good stuff comes, you enjoy it. And you sit there and you take it in and you're like, I can do this. And I tell everyone, find a life worth waking up early for. And that's what we have right now. Because we wake up every day excited to do this. Like, I woke up at 4:30 yesterday because I knew we were going to announce our website. It was like Christmas. My wife's like, did you get up early or something? And I was like,
dressed in your clothes.
I couldn't sleep. Yeah, I could not sleep. And I had went up from friends and we had drank too. And I thought, I'll sleep. But no, my body was just like thinking of things. And I woke up because I knew that was going to happen. It's something we had been working on for a while. And that's, those aha moments come. And when they come, you got to enjoy them. Big, small, whatever it is, you got to really enjoy it.
They create a lot of fuel, right? They can be small, seemingly small moments, but those can be the things that fuel you for another, whatever, however you want to define it. But that was a perfect segue, right? So, you have, which is crazy to think that it's been a year and a half since we were in your backyard. Like it's so cool to see, some of the people like Cider Core. When I did the episode with them, it was like before they even opened up their tap room, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, we're celebrating our 3rd year anniversary." I'm like, "What? Like, I thought you guys have been there for like 15 years, right?" It seems like Mezcal Carreño has been here for 10 years. So to know that it's been a year and a half, it's that's a speed bullet train right there, man. Because as you were saying, you guys have some real big things coming up, right?
Yeah. We've only been available in Arizona. We self-distribute. So me and Ivan are the guys going to the warehouse, picking up the cases, delivering. We've had some, we call them our compas, our community managers that are out of work, bartenders right now, who we've been training, saying, hey, we're trying to build this vision. Like, can you help us? Because me and Ivan still don't pay ourselves yet. And so we've had a little bit of help now on managing, because we now have, how many accounts do we have? 240, maybe 250 across the state?
243, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a lot for the two of us. And, we talked to some of these distributors. They're like, yeah, I manage South Phoenix, where me and Ivan are like, oh, we each have like half of a state. Ivan does the north, we do the south, and then the valley, we're just like zigzagging across each other. But we've only been available here. And when we won those awards I mentioned, the San Francisco World Spirits is like the award.
Yeah.
And that, that got announced the day COVID, like that Black Monday, when all the sports shut down. That was when I got the email and I sent it to them all excited, and we celebrated it internally. But we're like, it doesn't make sense to talk about it right now because everyone doesn't know what the world is going to be. But we've been getting messages constantly like, hey, I'm in Texas or Oregon. I've searched the 500-mile range and there's nothing there, and you guys aren't online. And initially it was great. I was like, come visit Arizona, come here.
Sure.
We're great. Well, people aren't that has changed. And we had to like, look, well, what do we do now? And so we are officially online, launched it last night. We can now have Mezcal Carreño delivered from a liquor store, because we can't sell it. There's all these tiers. So a liquor store partner in San Diego can now ship it directly to your door here in Arizona and 30 other states across the country, Ohio included.
Oh, nice. I'm going to get my family on that. I don't know. They're Budweiser and Jim Beam fans, but, might be able to, we'll inch them there, right?
Yeah, they always got to have one special bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, that is awesome, man. That's a leap, right? From hand delivery, literally hand delivery. Ivan delivered me a bottle of your Naran.
Mm-hmm.
Was fantastic. And I got and I love the label too. I got a personal lesson on agaves and agave pup transfer as well. So dude, that was amazing. So he comes with the bottle, and you identified like the two agave in my front yard. And I'm like, I didn't even know. I just thought it was an agave, right? But then there was one that was growing from one of the other ones, and you helped me. That was awesome. That was explain. You can do a much better job explaining it than I just did. So.
Yeah. So actually, Abel, I don't think I told you that, but he had a Huachuca agave on his front yard, and he had a pup on it, and I'm pretty sure there was another one, and I was going to leave you do it, but I was like, hey, like, like this one's growing a pup, like, are you thinking about like transplanting it or anything? And he's like, no, didn't think so. And I was like, well, go get a shovel. And so he like busts out this shovel, and I just was like, because I'm coming.
Actually, hold on. Let me clarify. He just went and got the shovel. My garage was open. He saw it, right? And I'm like, hell yeah, dude. He's like, hold on. Yeah. So no, sorry. Carry on.
I was okay. Yeah, I just kind of went in and got the shovel, and so I just like start digging for it and just start kicking it, and I've got the huaraches. But I'm coming off of 3.5 months of spending time with the family down there due to this whole COVID thing. So my life for the last 3.5 months was planting, seeding. We were doing everything hands-on. Like that's why I ended up getting so many calluses on the hands. And so I was just like, yeah, let's do it. Like that's what I wanted to do. Like that's what we grew up farmers. So like that's what it was. How is that baby boy that we took out of the ground and I told you how to clean and
it's good.
Ready for transplantation?
Oh, it's good, dude. I felt like a badass. Like my wife is sitting like on the lawn chair, like in the morning, we're having coffee. I'm like, oh, I got to do this. So I'm like peeling the leaves off. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, Ivan told me to. We're good. So I'm peeling them off, right? And then I get my knife out and I'm scraping the roots. Like you told me to kind of scrape to the red stuff off, right? Is that correct? Hopefully.
Yeah.
So I'm scraping that. She's like, what is that? I'm like, Ivan told me to do it. We're good. So yeah, it's been there. I put it in about a week ago, man, and it's looking good, man. I dug a well around it. I filled it up with water. You told me not to overwater it though, so I don't know what that means. So hopefully I don't kill it.
Yeah, no, you're fine with this heat. It'll be good if you did a lot of water. Just like every week or so, just like 4 to 8 ounces, something like that.
All right, cool. But going from hand delivery, agave transfer services to now being available 30 states, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Yeah, we are. And there's lots of things that have been kind of popping off from that moment. So it's at our website, mezcalcarreñous.com, and then it's our shop page, and then that links you to the partner out there. And then we had mentioned it, Naran. This was another thing that Arthea wanted us to bring on early on, and we're running around selling Carreño, and Carreño is very high end. Bottles are they retail for $120, $140. We knew it's something like this. It's much more affordable. Takes a lot more labor and delivery, and everything kind of came into fruition where we knew we had to pivot. We had to go online with COVID. We knew if the economy gets tougher, people aren't going to have the money to buy these nicer bottles. And so it made sense to bring this up. And now that we had support of people helping us deliver, and we have a delivery partner out in Phoenix who helps us deliver across the state, because me and Ivan we drove 30,000 miles together last year doing this. Like it's just crazy how much time we spend in the car, and we're now scaling where we can get support, but no one's launching brands in the middle of a pandemic. We did. No one launches online. We did. I don't know. In the future we'll tell, like if we're that thing that rockets out of it. But Naran is just this beautiful, soft, elegant, like cocktail espadín. So it's a different species of agave that's cultivated, but we put it in your standard bottle to get those costs lower. And then we're just really aggressive on our pricing because we want people to try good mezcal. Because a lot of times when you find something that price point, people say smoke a lot when they describe mezcal. We say minerality. We say vegetal, flower, like floral notes. You get that with Naran, where some of the other ones you're like, oh wow, that smoke is the first thing that hits you. Where this, people are like, it's just so soft. Like soft has been the word that has come up so much. And then minerality. And that's what we love is we've been blessed to share the Carreño with everybody. And they're like, wow, this is what really good mezcal tastes like.
Yeah.
And then now the same thing, like, oh, I can find an affordable mezcal that tastes really good. Yeah. And so that's been a big launch. And then Ivan was planting some seeds a couple of weeks ago, or was it a week ago? I can't remember because time's like,
yeah, exactly.
In the LBC.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. So last 2 weeks, my current roommate was like, hey, I'm going to buy a house in LBC. And I was like, okay. And he's like, you can come and move in with me over there as well. And I was like, perfect. So we went and we found some really cool bars, and people were like, yeah, like how'd I order it? And I was like, give me about a month. Let me. I didn't know you were gonna buy it. I was like, give me a month. I'll get it to you.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So
California B2B, that's the big thing. So California B2B, online presence, and a craft cocktail brand, all within the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Wait, so craft cocktail brand. So what was that again?
That's not on.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Because we have people make stuff with our top of the line stuff into cocktails, and it's great. But it can be an expensive cocktail for you to have. Yeah. This is much more, retail, suggested retail here is $50, where our other guys are $120. And there's people that love it. They're like, dude, I can't get enough of this Tobaciche in my Manhattan or this margarita. And, I once did a tasting years ago with, there's a whiskey guy who was from Scotland. He goes, you know how you want to drink your whiskey is however you damn well please. And if you put it in what's the sugar, Kool-Aid, he goes, I'm going to drink that Kool-Aid with you because it's going to be the best damn Kool-Aid. And that's always stuck with me. Enjoy it how you want it. And for us, like we prefer it neat, but like it's hot and someone was making a meal and I was like, yeah, let's do a little mezcal meal.
Yeah.
It changes with who am I with, what are we doing, and what time of year it is. That's how I want to drink.
Yeah. Yes. And it's got that diversity too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Was there anything else, Luca? I thought there was, is that everything? Before we wrap this up, was there anything else you guys wanted to cover? The website, the Naran, California, anything else?
Well, we'll dive. So people that maybe don't know what mezcal is.
That's the question I was going to ask. Yeah.
100 plus agaves. Yeah, there's of those 200, about 40 of them have the right sugar content. A lot of them you see in Arizona. People are like, oh, I can make mezcal with that. No, it just doesn't have the right sugar processing like on the inside of it. They're ornamental ones. But what we've chosen are really the best 5 in terms of representation of flavor. Tobala, Tobaciche, Tepestate, Espadín. Those are each a particular type of agave. And then we have one called Ensamble Siete, which is a blend of 7 agaves. And that represents the 7 sisters of the Carreño family. Very similar to grapes. You have people don't realize like Pinot Noir, all these different grapes have names. And everyone thinks tequila is just a type. Tequila is actually a plant, the tequilana. And we're trying to educate people in there because there will be a day when you walk into the bar, like, do you have some tobala? And they're going to be like, I have these 5 tobalas. It's just, we're at that cutting edge of spirit education. Okay. And just like beer, you're not going to love them all, or maybe you do, but you got to find your favorite. And that's what we always try to express with mezcal. Like, let's have you sample some of these, because I've had someone that goes, oh my God, this tobala is so smooth and easy. And then here comes this big 6'6" linebacker guy goes, this is so strong. Yeah. And there's no rhyme or reason. Sure. It is your palate. Your palate defines who you are. And so for mezcal, it's very, very unique. But yeah, our website, mezcalcarreñous.com, and then you'll see our shop button on there, or just type in shop and then you can order it, and free shipping on if you buy 2 or more bottles to all those spots across the country. You have to be 21 or up, obviously. Yeah. And then, it's just been a fun ride seeing you and your collaboration with Luke. It makes a difference when you have someone else helping you out. I've seen that in your happiness. Like, man, yeah. I've been getting full time. Makes me so much happier. Like, this is great. I'm not trying to pull him away from Cox anymore. He has time to read into all these things. So it's just this community of Arizona just has been a rocket ship. And I talk to people today, even on the hike, like, oh, do you think things are going to get back? I go, you can't stop greatness. And this community, the state is full of greatness. And it may take a little bit longer, and the paths may get a little bit sideways, but you can't stop it. More people are moving here than ever, because there is a kind of a melting pot of action that's going to happen. And even though COVID's tough for everyone, I tell everyone when we talk about us, they go, oh, how are you doing? And I say, we're not surviving, we're thriving. And I want to inspire that to everybody, is you should look at it as these things are happening. Look, we're doing a Zoom. It's not as cool when we're together.
Sure.
Like Ivan likes to say, tell him, Ivan, we're not together.
We're together, but we're not together.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. But it's true, man.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a strong community, man. I only have experience in Arizona. Like when I lived in Ohio, I wasn't into, to the food or beverage industry. So Arizona's my only experience. But dude, like when you get into craft and you get into people who have found their path, right? Not just like, oh, this is cool, I'll do this for a little bit. They're like, no, this is what I was meant to do. You are unstoppable. You know what I mean? Because be like, oh yeah, okay, I made $14 last year. Fuck it, moving on. Right? So that's just, I don't know. It is inspiring, man, and it's inspiring to see guys like you and to work with guys like you, and it's just that whole relationship, thing. So, heck yeah,
yeah.
You were just speaking about a new tequila brand that you're working with. What is the difference? And I know you touched on it a little bit, but what is the difference between tequila and mezcal?
Ivan, you want to take that? I'll do that, I guess, because Ivan will dive in the process. So it's different species. Just like if someone goes, you don't go to a bar and say, give me beer or give me wine. Mm-hmm. You have all these subcategories. And so many people think tequila is a one big type. Mezcal is actually the overarching figure. So there's Sotol, Bacanora, Raicilla, tequila, and then mezcal again. So there's subcategories within that community that happen. And so tequila is just simply one type of an agave, the Tequiliana, the Blue Weber, from Jalisco, Guadalajara area, so the central, kind of north central part of Mexico. And mezcal is it has 10 states now. Is that correct, compa?
Yeah.
10 different states it can come from. Bacanora comes from Sonora, which is our south of us, our neighbors south. And then you have Sotol, which is that central kind of north, I guess that north part into Texas even of Mexico, and then Raicilla. So it's different regions. So just like different regions of wine, whiskeys, it's the same thing within the world of agave spirits. And so that's what we're trying to say is not all mezcal, or should say, not all tequilas are mezcals, but all tequilas are mezcal. And that's what we try to teach people is you're ordering a plant. And trying to help them understand that, because some people go, oh, I don't like mezcal, but I love tequila. I'm like, well, you know that tequila actually used to be called tequila de mezcal when it first came over. And so for us, it's trying to teach them that plant. You're drinking the plant, that earth, that's what you're going to taste. And so you should try the other plants, because just like if you walked into a wine store for the first time, you're not going to be like, oh, I definitely know I'm going to love a Pinot Grigio or a Malbec. You have to try them. And you might not like a Malbec at first, but maybe later on in your life you do. Or you might go with, a Pinot right away. So it's just sampling those different species of grapes. It's the same thing with agave.
So if I understand it correctly, like the way that champagne is a sparkling wine, you can have all different varieties of sparkling wine, but champagne refers to the region the same way mezcal refers to the region when you're talking tequila or any of the other varieties that you're talking about.
Yep. It's got an international denomination of origin, and that's the stamp thing. It's a place, a process with a particular plant. And so there's agave spirits being made in Arizona with like syrups. There's agave spirits being made in Australia because a lot of times they actually use the agaves as ballast when they were doing a lot of the slave trading in boats, all these different things. Their massive pinos were heavy. They would put them in these boats to help balance them out. Well, then once they got to where they were going, when they needed their cargo, they'd throw them out. And so you have agaves all across the globe because of that. And so people can technically make it out there, but it's that denomination of origin that says you have a special thing that's made from this place. And, tequila was the first one outside of Europe to have that. And that's, you know, they realized they had something special, the Mexican government, and they went through the process to do it at a national level. And then from there, it goes to the international level.
So you said to get that designation, there's a sense of place and then a process. Ivan, if you could dive into the process of how you guys make your mezcal.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, what he's talking about when he says piñas or agaves, it's kind of that heart-shaped agave that looks like a beautiful pineapple when it's all shaped off. Because they usually have these kind of long, bitter arms with thorns on them. They're called the pencas, right? These leafy arms because it grows kind of like in a rosette. But basically, what an agave does is it just kind of sits there all of its life trying to get enough energy and enough sugars to be able to reproduce. And what it does is when it's ready, it'll pull all of that sugar and all of that energy into its core, into its corazon, and it'll actually sprout up what's called the quiote. The quiote is a stalk that goes right out of the middle of it. And that's when you know that it's ready to reproduce. What'll happen is those sugars will transfer up the quiote. It'll create flowers. It'll create nectar. It'll get pollinated by bats. Bats are mostly the pollinators, the long-nosed Texan bat. And Abel, he's worked with Bat Conservation America, and we're trying to set something up in Oaxaca as well, where we're planting agaves here in Arizona to keep Phoenix beautiful and keep some sustenance and food supply for the bats as well. And so then it'll create little hardened seed pods. It'll open up and then drop seed, and that whole plant just kind of went, just kind of gave its last life, right? And then out of those plants, usually, I personally haven't counted them, but I'm going to say roughly 10,000 seeds each time it blossoms or flowers per life. And out of those, maybe one, maybe two would germinate, meaning the seed will open up and it's not going to get eaten by insects or birds. So that's kind of the lifespan of the agave. And I told you that so you can kind of are aware on kind of what we're looking for. What we're looking for is an agave that's actually starting to sprout up the quiote. When it's starting to sprout up, that's when you know it's got the most amount of sugars. That's when you want to actually distill. It's the difference between eating a green banana and eating a ripe banana, right? So if you eat a banana when it's yellow, it's going to taste good as opposed to when it's green. So the same thing with the agaves. When it's flowering up, that's when it's got the most. So what you do is you chop off the quiote. And we don't use machetes, or we use steel and dragon glass sometimes, obsidian. I'm just kidding. It's an internal joke from somebody that was all like.
Gonna go on a tangent. Let's just say someone asked a crazy question, and we now have a crazy answer for that crazy question. Dragon glass.
Yeah. Yep. And so then you chop off the quiote, and then you can leave it up to in the field for a year if you wanted to. But then what you do is you rip off all the pencas, which are all those leaves that I was telling you about. So you chop them off, and you chop them off with the machete, right? And then you kind of are left over with this kind of just like artichoke looking like thing. And then you open it up, you cut it in half. And the reason you cut it in half is to make sure there's no specific rot on the inside. And it's also so that it cooks evenly, as opposed to if you just kind of threw the whole thing in the oven. That's why you open it up in half. So then you're left with a bunch of like little halves. Now you cook it in a conical shape oven. So it's a conical shape oven like this, and it's underneath the ground, and it's lined with lava rock, river rock. Okay. And so what you do is you start a good fire going in there with encino wood. It'll start heating up really hot. What you do is you throw another layer of base rock on top of that, and then you put a layer of bagazo. Bagazo is already spent agave fibers. So think of it like sugar cane. When you're done chewing the sugar cane, you still have a bunch of fibers left over. So from the fibers from the last batch, you wet those, and then you put those on top of the rock. Then you go ahead and start stacking your piñas, your little hearts, and you start making a pyramid mound. So you went from this to now this. And then you cover that with a tarp, and then you put about 2 feet of dirt on top of it. And so what it'll do is it'll sit there and it'll cook. So it'll smoke for about 5 days on average. That's where it gets the smoky
5
flavor.
days, you said?
5 days. Now, smoke is just a byproduct of the cooking process. That's why there's not any smoke in tequila, because tequila doesn't use this process. Tequila nowadays has, they can do stainless steel vapor rooms, autoclaves. They can use technology. But before, with mezcal being the way that it's made artisanally, which is kind of the old way, that was the only way of doing it, underneath the ground, kind of like a pig luau style. And so that's kind of where it gets the smoky flavor from. Once you have it cooked, what you do is you open up your horno, which is your cooking, and then you start taking out the piñas and you let them rest. You let them rest for about 3 to 5 days. Some people do up to 2 weeks if you want to get those cooled down, kind of like a good steak. You never go, from the grill directly to plate and just dig into it. You let it rest for a little bit. And then what you do is you mash them. You mash them with your tahona. Your tahona is a giant rock that gets pulled by a horse or a donkey, and it just kind of goes around in a circle. And it's so heavy, it's usually about 2,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds. And they just kind of like squish the agave. And so you start getting all of that juice, all that liquid out of that agave heart, or that kind of artichoke looking like heart that I was telling you about. So you get all that juice out. And then you grab all of that juice and you put that in a wooden vat. It's a pine vat that we use, and they're about 2,000 liters. So you put all that juice in there and you start adding water. That's the only thing you add, just water. And so what it'll start the fermentation process. So it'll start fermenting, and then once it's done fermenting, then you have to distill it to get the actual mezcal. But you got to do double distillation, so it's got to be distilled twice. And so you use a copper alembic still. It's like the ones that you see on like the moonshiners. So it's just kind of made out of copper. They hold about 300, 350 liters. And so what you do is you get a slow simmer fire going in there. And the reason it's got to be slow simmer fire is because alcohol evaporates at 92 to 94 degrees, but water evaporates at 98. So if you've got too much of a high heat, then what you're going to be distilling is you're going to be distilling water. And so you don't want to do that because you're already putting a strain on the environment as far as like all the amount of wood that you're using to distill, because it takes 3 pounds of wood to distill 1 liter of mezcal. So then what will happen is all of those alcohol vapors are going to travel up in the alembic still, which kind of looks like just like a copper still. I don't know. And then it's got a little transfer tube that hits a condenser coil. And so your condenser coil is actually inside of water, in a water tank container. So alcohol starts to evaporate, becomes a gas, travels through the tube, hits your condenser coil, which is inside of water. So it condensates, and then it turns from a gas into a liquid and out shoots some mezcal. But that was first distillation. You got to get 300 liters to put back in the alembic still and do it twice. And that's the process.
And so how old is this process?
You have to do it.
Obviously, you guys have a very refined version of it, but how long have people been making mezcal similar to the way you guys do?
Mezcal is the oldest spirit in the Americas. So they've been making pulque, which is kind of close to it without the distillation. It's in the 1700s. There are like some research and things like that. There's not like one particular person that said, boom, like this is exactly what it was. Just because they are finding that they did have the tools necessary to do it back before the 1700s. But it's at the 1700s, they're thinking it was either the Spanish sailors or the Filipino sailors that brought over the column still to be able to distill it. But they had been drinking it way before this. So, as far as I can tell, it's always been around, but it is the oldest spirit in the Americas.
Wow.
That's awesome. So, guys, thanks for joining. I know you guys have a lot going on, so we appreciate Ivan. Abel was trying to get us to hike a mountain. Is he still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever done Zoom on the phone. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to see everybody, but he was trying to get us to climb. Yeah. But no, man, I appreciate you guys taking the time. You guys are doing awesome stuff. Always love working with you guys for sure.
Yeah, no, thank you, buddy. Yeah, if you wanna come hike a mountain, let's do it. Abel's gotten me to hike a mountain, and he started me on my climbing path. Now I've got my boots, I got my backpack, I got my camelback. Like I've got it, like the whole setup now too. So it's a cool experience. Like, I was hiking Mount Eldon, and I had the Tap That AZ hat on, and I've got some more pictures and stuff like that. Yeah, where I've brought it out, and I take a picture of like some Mother Road Station IPA or some other local beer, and a little pocket mezcal flask that we always kind of take up there and go chill and just connect with Mother Nature.
Heck yeah, man. I love it for sure.
Bring some
We
portable
appreciate
mics.
you guys for sure.
You can bring some beer. We'll bring some mezcal, and we'll just talk about life on top of the mountain. I can do it right now.
I'm totally down.
But once it gets a little
I was
cooler,
gonna say I'm down,
hiking.
but yeah. I don't think I've been working out. I've been getting in better shape, but I don't think I'm ready for a summer hike just yet. So soon we will. But no, we'll create. We'll make something cool out of it. Drinking mezcal on a mountain or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much. We appreciate you taking the time.
I know. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Keep killing it. Taste of AZ. Love it.
Love it.
Thanks,
have a good
man.
one.
I appreciate it. All right. Later, guys.
Later, guys. Well, everyone, there you have it, the dudes from Mezcal Carreño. They're making some amazing mezcal. You gotta hop into a bar near you and try a pour of it. Make sure to follow them on social media, as well as a taste of AZ. See you next time.